These are the mysterious ruins of Puma Punku, high in the Altiplano of Bolivia. It's made out of gigantic blocks of sandstone and granite.
Massive stones, razor-sharp cuts, perfect fits that still confuse experts. Puma Punku has always looked impossible for its time, and now new 3D scans are changing how we look at it. These scans don't rewrite history, but they force us to rethink the process behind it.
Whatever kind of drilling mechanism they're using here has to penetrate this very hard granite.
It's an astonishing piece of work, and how anyone could think that primitive human beings could have done this.
Hidden details, subtle patterns, and overlooked clues are finally coming into focus. One specific feature inside the stones raises a question no one expected. How did ancient builders plan this so precisely?
Ruins of Puma Punku, nearly 13,000 feet in the Altiplano of Bolivia.
And why does this detail matter now? The answers aren't obvious, and that's exactly the point. Stones that defy their time. Puma Punku is one of the most puzzling ancient sites on Earth, famous for massive stone blocks fitted together with extreme precision. The stones are cut so cleanly and joined so tightly that even modern builders struggle to reproduce the accuracy. Some blocks weigh over 100 tons, raising a direct question. How did an ancient society move, shape, and place stones of this size without metal tools or machines? The smooth surfaces and complex geometric forms point to careful planning and advanced skill, yet no single explanation fully accounts for how this workmanship was achieved. The mystery deepens when considering the site's age. Built more than 1,000 years ago, Puma Punku predates the widespread use of metal tools in the region. Despite this limitation, the builders achieved remarkably precise cuts and tight fits. While early ideas included lost technologies or speculation, modern archaeology focuses on evidence-based explanations centered on human ingenuity. Even so, key questions remain about the tools, organization, and methods behind such lasting precision. Much of the intrigue lies in the site's alignment and craftsmanship. Many stones interlock like puzzle pieces, forming joints that serve structural purposes similar to modern engineering. This design reduces the need for mortar and helps the structures endure earthquakes and centuries of wear. However, archaeologists still struggle to explain how such consistency was maintained across enormous blocks without standardized measuring tools. The builders also showed a strong understanding of material behavior. Some stones were shaped to reduce erosion, suggesting knowledge of how stone weathers over time. This points to construction methods based on observation, testing, and shared experience passed down through generations. Many of these details, however, remained hidden beneath soil and weathering for centuries. Studying Puma Punku has long been difficult. The site is remote, heavily damaged, and lacks written records describing its construction. Traditional methods allowed only surface observation and limited measurements, leaving researchers to rely on educated guesses. The challenge was not just the size or age of the stones, but their complex layout. Varied block sizes, sharp angles, and carved grooves reflect a level of planning rare even in later periods. Puma Punku stands as evidence of an unknown engineering tradition, one that still raises more questions than answers. The forensic investigation of the stones was the most significant limitation for years, and the main factor that made the most important clues to the mystery of Pyramid Mountain completely buried under dirt, erosion, and decay. Fine details that were hidden within joints, cuts, and surfaces could not be revealed through traditional excavation. Thus, new tools were required for the construction puzzle that just recently became available. The development of high-resolution 3D scanning was among the advanced digital techniques that led to the breakthrough. The application of these methods enabled the researchers to analyze precisely every surface, angle, and joint without physically touching the stones. The combination of the physical evidence and the computer models allowed the scientists to start shaping a clearer view of how the Puma Punku was constructed. The realization of the existence of the features that were once invisible and the ability to measure them was the gaining of access to the closed doors that had been there for a long time. The resolution of the mystery of Puma Punku is not just relevant for this site alone. It questions the whole concept of ancient technology, planning, and the level of engineering skill that existed back then. The scientific output indicates that early civilizations might be much capable than the common view of them. In order to grasp the true significance of Puma Punku, we have to first appreciate how modern 3D scanning technology has uncovered what time and the elements had concealed for centuries. Moving forward, the revolutionary impact of advanced 3D scanning opens new frontiers in archaeological research, transforming the way we observe and decode ancient sites like Puma Punku. Advanced 3D scanning. High-resolution 3D scanning has transformed archaeological research, and Puma Punku is one of its most revealing case studies. Unlike traditional excavation, 3D scanning captures surface and structural details without touching the stones. This allows fragile or hard-to-reach areas to be studied safely while preserving the site. The resulting digital models provide exact records of shape, texture, and construction features that were previously impossible to document in full. At Puma Punku, scanning technology has exposed details hidden beneath centuries of erosion. Researchers can now see tool marks, surface refinements, and subtle adjustments made by the builders. By analyzing the microtopography of each block, scientists identify polishing methods, joint precision, and how stones were fitted together. This level of detail shifts research away from speculation and toward measurable engineering analysis. Virtual cross-sections and comparisons reveal patterns that explain how the site was planned and assembled. Another major advantage of 3D scanning is its non-destructive nature. Digital data can be revisited endlessly without risking damage to the stones. This allows experts from different fields, archaeology, engineering, architecture, and geology, to collaborate using the same precise models. Drone-based scanning has expanded coverage even further, capturing elevated and difficult areas across the high-altitude site. Scanning has become one of the most important factors to consider when talking about maintaining the site in today's world. That is because the digital models not only give posterity an idea of the site's condition at a particular time, but also establish a reference point through which one can monitor the gradual deterioration, weather-induced destruction, and alterations in the structure. Thus, digital preservation has become an indispensable tool as natural forces threaten the site of Puma Punku. Moreover, the high accuracy of the data opens up the findings for public sharing, which in turn grants global scholars and researchers access to the location, aiding in dispersing and sustaining the site with a transparent, evidence-based study rather than mythological ones among the former, explaining the latter. The results indicate that the builders of Puma Punku were conscious of their actions and hence followed a systematic approach and applied the same technique all over the site. 3D scanning illustrates the presence of certain things like proper spacing at joints, smoothness of surfaces, and correctly placed angles that bespeak of forethought and shared technical expertise. The architects of this monumental project were equipped with the tools and knowledge necessary to pass down the standard construction system, which has been identified as the one characterized by the usage of simple or poor quality materials. 3D data confirms that the team physically pushed the giant blocks of stone down to the core of the building with a lot of accuracy, thereby making it hard for the earth to shake them along with the rest of the ground in a seismic part of the world. The virtual models also communicate how the stone's structure and mass collaborated to evenly disperse the pressure without the use of mortar. Many of these concepts had previously been put forth. However, the process of scanning was the one that finally cleared the issue by giving the first and undeniable acknowledgement. To be more specific, scanning opens a window onto the implicit and functional design of the building besides the structure. Building's digital reconstruction puts researchers in a position to simulate the interaction of light, shadow, and motion with the architectural design, thus getting a clue to the possible sacred or social uses of the area. Although these findings bring closure to some of the historical questions, they also introduce new ones, particularly regarding stone selection and shaping, thus leading us straight through the geological supremacy that underlies the construction of Puma Punku. The story of Puma Punku's stones is not only about size and precision, but also the intimate relationship between people and the raw materials they shaped to last through time. Geological mastery of ancient builders. To understand how Puma Punku was built, it is essential to recognize the builders' deep knowledge of local geology. They did not use stone at random. Instead, they deliberately selected andesite, a volcanic rock common in the Bolivian highlands. Andesite is dense, durable, and resistant to weathering, yet it can be shaped with precision when worked correctly. Choosing this material shows practical geological insight and an understanding of long-term durability. Andesite is strong but challenging to work with without metal tools. Shaping it into smooth surfaces and complex forms required controlled techniques rather than brute force. The builders likely used harder stones and abrasive materials to cut, grind, and polish the blocks. This slow process allowed them to create precise shapes, including flat faces, sharp edges, and intricate joints. The results demonstrate patience, planning, and skill adapted specifically to the stone's properties. Natural geological features also played a key role. The surrounding rock contains natural fault lines and bedding planes that allowed large blocks to be split more easily. By exploiting these weaknesses, builders could extract stones closer to their intended size, reducing unnecessary labor. This approach shows they understood how stone behaves under stress and used nature to their advantage rather than working against it. Geological awareness extended beyond quarrying to transport and placement. Moving massive stones across uneven terrain required careful route planning based on the landscape. Once on site, stones were set into prepared foundations designed to support their weight and resist soil movement. In a region prone to seismic activity, this combination of geological and structural knowledge was essential to long-term stability. The builders also used stone to manage environmental conditions. Thick walls and tightly fitted blocks helped regulate temperature in the harsh Andean climate. The stone's reflective qualities and the orientation of openings influenced sunlight and airflow. These design choices suggest that construction balanced durability with comfort and function. Modern studies have identified quarry sites linked to Puma Punku, showing consistent stone-cutting marks and unfinished blocks that match those at the site. This evidence points to organized extraction and planned transport rather than random gathering. Tracing stone sources confirms careful logistics and a skilled workforce. Puma Punku's use of geology compares with other ancient megalithic sites, where builders also adapted techniques to local materials. These similarities suggest shared principles of working with nature. At Puma Punku, geological knowledge was central to architecture, forming the foundation for the site's remarkable precision and longevity. The stones of Puma Punku speak not only of their natural origins, but also of human hands that shaped them with extraordinary understanding. Innovative stone-cutting techniques. One of the most striking features of Puma Punku is the extraordinary precision with which the stones were shaped. The blocks are not merely large and heavy. Many are carved into complex geometries, featuring perfectly straight edges, smooth surfaces, and intricate interlocking joints. Achieving such accuracy without metal tools challenges our assumptions about the technologies available at the time. Archaeologists now believe the builders used a combination of harder stones, abrasives like sand, and time-consuming labor to painstakingly cut and polish the andesite blocks. Microscopic examination of the stones reveals consistent tool marks that suggest a deliberate and methodical carving process. The workers likely employed hammerstones made of harder rock to chip away at the surfaces, followed by grinding with sand mixed with water to smooth and polish the edges. This two-step technique allowed for both rough shaping and refined finishing. The absence of metal, yet the presence of such fine detail, defies earlier assumptions that metal was necessary for this level of craftsmanship. Additionally, many of the stone blocks feature precise right angles and angles cut at exactly 45 degrees, as well as perfectly round holes and channels carved through the stone. These shapes would have required specialized tools and techniques to execute consistently. Researchers have proposed that drill-like devices, possibly wooden or stone hand drills combined with abrasive slurry, were used to bore holes. The consistent depth and diameter of these holes show not only manual skill, but also a clear understanding of geometry. This level of stone cutting also reflects a planning phase far beyond improvisation. The builders appear to have worked from detailed designs or templates, ensuring each stone fits seamlessly with its neighbors. The presence of uniform joints, including tongue and groove and dovetail connections, suggests these were structural choices intended to lock blocks firmly into place. This precision prevented movement over time, explaining why the site remains remarkably intact despite centuries of exposure. It is quite interesting that the builders did not shy away from taking advantage of the natural stone features during the cutting process. The plan was to utilize the cracks and natural cleavages in the andesite for cutting, thus making the large stone slabs easier to separate. This is a clear indication of the degree of geological knowledge that the sculptors were already using during the carving process. When this raw material knowledge is combined with the most labor-intensive technique, the stones at Puma Punku become not only engineering marvels, but also works of art. To produce these stones was not an easy task, but it required the specialized knowledge that was imparted among skilled artisans. Experimental archaeology has indicated that primitive man, after a lot of time and effort, would only be able to produce a crude copy of what was made at Puma Punku with modern equipment, implying that there was indeed a very dedicated and large workforce at the site. Such intricate craftsmanship is a clear sign of a very organized and powerful society that could easily carry out long construction projects and was very much concerned with the quality and precision of its architecture. Even though there were no metal tools available, the workers did not leave any signs of haphazard or low-quality production. The opposite is the case. The very smoothness and symmetry that were consistent indicate a society that valued technical perfection and strong character traits. Innovational thinking of builders has already been enlightened by researchers, not only through the use of advanced technology, but also through the practice of a highly organized and consistent process. This resulted in a stone architecture far ahead of its contemporaries. The cutting and carving techniques thus relate intimately to the larger purpose of the site. The perfect fit and finish of the stones were vital not only for the physical strength of the construction, but also for the spiritual force of Puma Punku. The builders changed the raw matter into forms that expressed power, cosmology, and identity through their skilled hands. This linking of function and meaning raises the site above just being a construction project. The skilled workers not only developed new methods of cutting, but also contributed another very important engineering innovation: the secure anchoring of the huge stones so as to provide long-term stability and durability. The ingenuity behind the stonework leads naturally into how Puma Punku's builders stabilized and supported these enormous blocks through sophisticated anchoring techniques, structural engineering, and anchoring methods. Beyond the striking appearance of Puma Punku lies a sophisticated understanding of structural engineering, especially in how its massive stones were anchored and stabilized. The builders did not rely on weight alone. Instead, they used deliberate methods to lock stones into the ground and into one another, ensuring long-term stability in a region prone to earthquakes and soil movement. Modern digital scans show that many blocks extend deep below the surface. Large portions of stone were embedded into carved slots in bedrock or tightly packed earth, creating firm foundations that resisted shifting and erosion. By sinking stones partially underground, the builders achieved stability similar to how modern footings support large structures. The stones were also connected using precise, interlocking designs. Features such as tongue and groove joints, dovetail notches, and stone pins helped bind blocks together without mortar or metal. These joints distribute weight evenly and prevent movement over time. This dry-fitting approach required extreme accuracy, turning the site into a unified structure rather than a collection of loose blocks. Weight distribution played a critical role in the site's durability. The builders avoided stacking stones in ways that concentrated stress. Instead, they designed overlapping layers and multiple load paths to spread pressure across wider areas. This understanding of compression and balance closely mirrors principles used in modern engineering. Some stones also feature angled cuts and tapered edges that may have helped manage seismic forces. While the exact intent is uncertain, these design choices suggest awareness of how ground movement affects stone structures. The builders appear to have adapted their methods to local environmental conditions. Engineering skill is also evident in how the site responds to its landscape. Built on a high plateau with uneven terrain, Puma Punku required careful leveling and deep foundations. The builders transformed unstable ground into a reliable platform, showing careful planning before construction even began. Many stones served multiple purposes. Some acted as walls and supports, while others helped manage water flow and drainage, protecting foundations from damage. This multifunctional design reflects an integrated approach that balances strength, utility, and environmental awareness. These findings challenge the idea that Puma Punku was purely ceremonial. Instead, it reveals a culture with advanced practical engineering knowledge. The builders were both skilled artisans and capable engineers, applying principles of stability and material behavior long before such concepts were formally defined. Their methods reflect a well-developed tradition shaped by experience and passed down through generations. The precision and care given to anchoring these stones laid the groundwork for examining how the design choices behind the stonework reflect the culture and function of Puma Punku itself. Functional design behind the stonework. The stonework of Puma Punku reflects more than strength and precision. It reveals careful functional design blended with symbolic meaning. The arrangement, shape, and alignment of the stones suggest spaces planned for both practical use and ritual activity. Some blocks form platforms or enclosed areas, while others include channels and depressions that may have managed water flow, showing awareness of environmental needs. Researchers have also noted alignments with cardinal directions and possible astronomical events. These features suggest a cosmological purpose tied to seasonal cycles or ceremonial calendars. Such planning would have required accurate calculations, indicating the site was designed as a sacred landscape connecting daily life with the sky. Movement through the site appears intentional. Narrow passages, sharp angles, and open plazas seem to guide how people entered, gathered, or performed rituals. The layout hints at social organization, balancing communal spaces with areas likely reserved for special functions or groups. Architecture here shaped behavior, not just shelter. Practical engineering is embedded throughout the stonework. Carved channels may have diverted rainwater, protecting foundations from damage. Stepped platforms likely served multiple purposes, from work areas to ceremonial stages. This multi-purpose approach shows how the builders combined durability, usability, and design in a single system. Unlike purely monumental sites, Puma Punku appears designed for active, ongoing use. It likely served as a central place where spiritual, political, and social life overlapped. This functional complexity helps explain the care, precision, and long-term investment seen in its construction. The stonework further expresses the identity and the power of the people. The visual aspects of the construction, with its high quality and great scale, would have been a testimony to the power and the sophistication of the one who ordered or ruled the site. The intricate carving and the unique architectural features were the markers of the status of the people, the culture, and the level of technological knowledge. These architectural decisions were like broadcasting messages of control, unity, and reverence to both visitors and residents. It is quite surprising that the modular nature of the stone blocks indicates a flexible design system. The different sections could be rearranged, repaired, or expanded with relative ease, thus revealing adaptability within the seemingly rigid stone facades. This points to a culture that was able to handle such problems with permanence and responsiveness, prepared to change with evolving social or environmental needs. The stonework was a system that lived instead of a monument that stood still. The combination of practical details with ceremonial design not only renders but also heightens the status of Puma Punku as a cultural statement that is full of meaning. The stones, after all, were not just tomes. They were intricately carved and fitted stones that created spaces which were as much about experience and identity as about shelter or defense. Grasping this layered functionality gives us the ability to view the site as a complicated piece of living heritage reflecting the values and knowledge of its builders. Therefore, each stone was an intentional choice, a block that was not only for walls, but also for a culture's worldview. The architecture of Puma Punku was a stone language speaking of power, protection, and sacred relationships that connected the people to their surroundings and to heaven. It wasn't ornamentation or an accident, it was very much deliberate and deep. The precision of this functional design reflects a tradition grounded in collective knowledge, passed down through generations, which shaped not just stones, but entire ways of life. Cultural knowledge transmission. The uniformity and sophistication found across Puma Punku's stonework make it clear this was not the product of a single builder or isolated experiment. Instead, the methods and designs reflect a deeply rooted cultural tradition, likely transmitted through generations of craftsmen and architects. This continuity ensured that each stone, joint, and channel adhered to established standards while allowing for incremental refinement and innovation. The site embodies a lineage of knowledge carefully guarded and passed from master to apprentice. This transmission was probably governed by social structures dedicated to preserving technical expertise. Skilled artisans would have formed specialized guilds or craftsman groups, responsible for teaching precise measurement methods, quarrying techniques, and ceremonial requirements. Their knowledge extended beyond basic construction. It included an understanding of geology, hydraulics, astronomy, and symbolism, all woven into Puma Punku's fabric. Such specialization shows a society where craftsmanship was both valued and institutionalized. What's remarkable is the geometric system underpinning the stones, which remains consistent throughout the complex. Measurements appear standardized, with repeating modules and ratios suggesting a shared mathematical framework. This uniformity implies the existence of a construction language, a set of rules or blueprints communicated verbally, visually, or through practice. The knowledge wasn't scattered or improvised, it was a precise, teachable craft. This mastery across time would have required not only technical expertise, but also cultural commitment. Maintaining Puma Punku's design fidelity meant reinforcing social values attached to the site's meaning and function. Such knowledge transmission was an act of cultural preservation, linking each generation to their ancestors and collective identity. The builders understood that they were custodians of something much larger than architecture alone. Archaeological evidence suggests that this tradition might have stretched beyond Puma Punku itself, connecting multiple sites across the region. Similar stone-cutting techniques and design principles appear elsewhere in the Andes, pointing to a widespread network of shared concepts and practices. This raises questions about how knowledge traveled, whether through migration, trade, or ritual exchange, and how it shaped the broader socio-political landscape. The processes of knowledge handoff likely combined formal training with oral instruction and hands-on apprenticeship. This immersive learning would have ensured not just skills, but also values, philosophies, and social roles embedded in the building. Such comprehensive education made the builders both technicians and cultural agents, reinforcing Puma Punku's role as a spiritual and political center. The existence of such a mature tradition challenges the idea of Puma Punku as a one-off anomaly in ancient architecture. Instead, it aligns the site with global patterns where monumental craftsmanship arises from enduring cultural frameworks. This continuity explains the remarkable precision and communal effort behind the complex, defying theories that rely on supposition of lost or alien technologies. Yet, this sophisticated knowledge transmission also highlights a mystery. Why did this tradition fade? The sudden decline of Puma Punku and its abandonment leave many questions unanswered about shifts in cultural priorities or external pressures. Understanding how and why such a rich heritage was interrupted could illuminate broader changes in pre-Columbian history and the fate of ancient Andean civilizations. Despite these unknowns, the survival of Puma Punku's stone record offers a testament to the power of cultural learning. It exposes the incredible ability of human societies to build, share, and preserve knowledge across centuries, turning raw stone into enduring monuments of identity and ingenuity. As this tradition thrived and eventually waned, mysteries remain, questions that invite us to look deeper into the lives and choices of Puma Punku's builders and their world. Unanswered questions and continuing mysteries. Even with modern technology revealing new details, Puma Punku still holds deep mysteries. While 3D scanning has clarified aspects of its precision and construction, The broader story of the people who built it and why their culture declined remains unknown. Was the site abandoned due to environmental change, social conflict, or shifting beliefs? No clear answer has emerged. The purpose of Puma Punku is still debated. Some researchers see it as a religious center tied to celestial events, while others argue it also served political or social functions. Its careful alignment and complex layout suggest it was more than symbolic. Yet its full role within ancient society is still unclear. Understanding this requires blending archaeology with cultural and historical comparisons, a process that is far from complete. Another significant enigma that the transportation of the massive stones poses is the mystery of the way the blocks were moved across rocky terrains. While studies reveal the quarrying and anchoring techniques, the uncertainty surrounding the moving of colossal stones weighing up to dozens of tons still prevails. The visions range from ropes and rollers to entirely new and complex systems, but unfortunately, none of them have direct evidence. The lack of consensus on this issue has come to symbolize the enormous effort and the high level of organization needed. The disappearance of the knowledge behind the construction of Puma Punku is also an equally intriguing mystery. Though the site is a testament to remarkable craftsmanship and meticulous planning, the very tradition that gave birth to it slowly but surely died away. There could have been a combination of factors, such as climate stress, political changes, or cultural shifts that affected the tradition, thus reminding us of the delicate nature of even the most advanced knowledge and how easily it can be lost. Puma Punku also serves as a reminder of the limitations of contemporary comprehension. Each new finding provides some answers, while at the same time creating new questions. There are still many ancient sites that are yet to be explored, and sometimes history is only partially revealed. The interplay between knowledge and mystery persists as a leading factor for research and public interest. Puma Punku, however, goes to the extent of inviting us to reconsider the ancient civilizations and to approach the past with a more open-minded attitude. The site is still telling an incomplete story that needs the new generations to continue searching for the truth, using innovative tools and different viewpoints to uncover what has been lost in time and under the stones. Puma Punku challenges what we think we know about ancient engineering, culture, and the mysteries still waiting beneath the surface. From stone precision to cultural knowledge lost and found, its story reminds us of human ingenuity. If you enjoyed unraveling these secrets with me, be sure to like and subscribe for more journeys into history's greatest enigmas.